వెల్కమ్ టు TV9 USA. నేను నీలిమ. ఈరోజు మనతో పాటు ఒక స్పెషల్ గెస్ట్ ఉన్నారు. ఆయన ఇంటర్వ్యూనే మనం చూడబోతున్నాం. భారత సంతతికి చెందిన వైద్యుడు బాబీ ముక్కాముల అమెరికన్ మెడికల్ అసోసియేషన్ 180వ అధ్యక్షుడిగా ప్రమాణ స్వీకారం చేశారు. తెలుగువారు గర్వించే విధంగా యుఎస్ఏలో అమెరికన్ మెడికల్ అసోసియేషన్కి అధ్యక్షుడిగా బాధ్యతలు చేపట్టారు బాబీ ముక్కాముల. ఆయన ఈరోజు మనతో పాటు ఉన్నారు. ఆయన ప్రయాణం ఎలా జరిగింది, ఆయన జర్నీకి సంబంధించి అలానే అధ్యక్ష పదవి ఎంత బాధ్యతగా తీసుకుంటున్నారు, మరిన్ని విషయాలు ఆయన అడిగి తెలుసుకుందాం. హాయ్ సార్, హౌ ఆర్ యు డూయింగ్?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So great to hear. ఒక తెలుగు వాళ్ళు, ఇండియాకి సంబంధించినటువంటి తెలుగు వాళ్ళు అమెరికన్ మెడికల్ అసోసియేషన్కి ప్రెసిడెంట్ అయ్యారంటే సచ్ ఎ బిగ్ న్యూస్ అండ్ గ్రేట్ న్యూస్ ఫర్ us.
Thank you very much. It's exciting in the US also, being the first physician doctor of Indian descent to be the president of the AMA. Thank you.
సార్, ఎప్పుడు అనుకున్నారు మీరు ప్రెసిడెంట్ అవ్వాలి అని? అసలు హ్యావ్ యూ ఎవర్ థాట్ టు బికమ్ అమెరికన్ మెడికల్ అసోసియేషన్ ప్రెసిడెంట్?
You know, I didn't think of it for a long time. I went into medical school and I became a doctor mostly because my mom and dad are both doctors and they didn't give me any choice. If I didn't go into medical school, they would have been very mad at me. So I went to medical school for the wrong reasons. But once I started practicing medicine in the US, I noticed all of the challenges associated with being a doctor. And that's when I got involved trying to fix those problems. And now, 25 years later, I've become the president of the American Medical Association because we continue to have those problems and I want to help solve them.
So you have been there for 20 years, it seems, right?
I was born in the US and I've been in medical practice. I've been a doctor for the past 25 years.
Okay, మీ పేరెంట్స్ కూడా ఇప్పుడు చాలా హ్యాపీగా ఉంటారు కదా?
Yes, they're very happy and they up until recently they were always trying to help me and give me advice and then tell me what I should do. And now that I've become president of the American Medical Association, they don't tell me what to do anymore. They're happy with what I've done.
Super, wonderful, proud parents. సో మీ పేరెంట్స్ విజయవాడలో ఉంటారు అని మీరు చెప్పారు ఇంతకు ముందు. మీరు ఎప్పుడు వెళ్ళారు? లాస్ట్ టైం ఎప్పుడు విజిట్ చేశారు పేరెంట్స్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి?
I was there in January of 2024, so just about 18 months ago, and it was a wonderful trip. I went to India and we started in Delhi and traveled through India, then came and celebrated New Year's Eve actually in Vijayawada with my parents. And I brought with me about 6 of the trustees of the American Medical Association who've never been to India. And it was an amazing trip to see medicine, to see patient care in big hospitals like Apollo Hospital, and then small hospitals. Well, they're still large hospitals, but they take care of people that very much need the care, like NRI Hospital near Vijayawada.
That's good to hear. Any differences do you find because American medical care or something else is so great, everybody thinks like that. So Indian medical system ki alane American medical system ki emana differences kanpinchaya meeku?
Yeah, there are some differences in that, you know, when I think about the simplicity of starting a hospital in India, like when my dad wanted to start the hospital, NRI Hospital, with his colleagues, there weren't that many barriers to do that. If they were willing to do that and then they submitted the necessary papers with the government, they were allowed to do that. In the US, it seems to be a very complicated system, and the finances of the system are also complicated. And what we want to do as doctors is to take care of patients. But when you have to deal with the bureaucracy, right, the challenges of taking care of those patients, to ask for things like prior authorization, we call that. If I see a patient that I know has cancer and I know what they need to have done, whatever testing, MRI scan, CAT scan, surgery, we have to get permission from the government to do that, or from the insurance company, by things called prior authorization. I never see those problems in India. And so there are things that we can improve on by looking at countries like that. But there's also things that India can improve by looking at how medical care is done in the United States. And so it's both a learning relationship that we have.
Okay. And also we heard that you are a good surgeon అని చెప్పి ఒక కేస్ స్టడీ చూస్తే బ్రెయిన్ డెడ్ అయిన పేషెంట్కి చాలా కాంప్లికేటెడ్ సర్జరీని చాలా చక్కగా చేశారని చెప్పి, దాని గురించి కెన్ యూ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ ఇట్?
Sure, yeah. So I'm ENT, ear, nose, and throat, but we do a lot of things with neurosurgeons. So for example, if they have a tumor on their auditory nerve, then we approach from the outside and the neurosurgeon helps from the inside, and together we help that patient get rid of their tumor. And so because it's the ear, nose, and throat, it's very near the neurologic system. So there's a lot of overlap between what we do and what neurosurgeons do and neurologists help with. And so we oftentimes have a combined procedure for that.
సో మీ కెరీర్లో చాలా కాంప్లికేటెడ్గా అనిపించిన కేసు ఏంటి?
The most complicated cases that I see are related to head and neck cancer. So oftentimes things like smoking cause head and neck cancer, and sometimes they get very big, and we have to operate on them both by making an incision here, making an incision in the mouth, using a scope to get into the larynx, and then reconstructing that after removing that cancer. So those are the most complicated things we do.
ఓ మై గాడ్, వినడానికి భయం వేస్తుంది. అండ్ బ్యాక్ టు ది టాపిక్, ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఎలాగో ప్రెసిడెంట్ అయిపోయారు కాబట్టి ఇంకా చాలా తెలుగు వాళ్ళకి ఏమైనా అవకాశాలు ఉంటాయా? మన తెలుగు డాక్టర్స్ లేదా ఇండియన్ డాక్టర్స్ కూడా అమెరికన్ మెడికల్ అసోసియేషన్లో ఏమైనా ఛాన్సెస్ ఉంటాయా?
Yes, it's an amazing opportunity. This is the first time there's ever been an Indian physician as president of the American Medical Association. My parents moved to the United States, America in 1970. And so a lot of Indian physicians came to the US at that time. And now this is the first time after 50 years of helping this country take care of patients in this country as immigrants. Now there's an Indian physician. So it's not for me that I'm happy. It's for people in my parents' generation after 50 years of serving this country to finally have that position, to almost show them thankfulness for helping this country for the past 50 years.
Yeah. ఇంకా అమెరికన్ మెడికల్ అసోసియేషన్లో ఇంకెవరైనా తెలుగు వాళ్ళు కానీ ఇండియన్ డాక్టర్స్ ఉన్నారా అండి?
Yes, so we have what's called a House of Delegates. The House of Delegates represent all of the states and then all of the specialties. And so many states and many specialties have Indian physicians within that group. But this is the first time there's ever been an Indian president of the American Medical Association. So we have many, and I'm glad, in the US we call this breaking the glass ceiling. And so it's nice to have broken the glass ceiling so that other people also can grow and contribute to the healthcare in this country, be recognized for that, and become president of the American Medical Association in the future. That would be wonderful.
ఎలాంటి పొజిషన్స్ ఉంటాయి లేదా ఎలాంటి డెసిగ్నేషన్స్ ఉంటాయంటారు ఈ అసోసియేషన్లో? మన తెలుగు వాళ్ళు లేదా ఇండియన్స్ ఎలా అప్రోచ్ అవ్వాలి, వాటికి ఎట్లా అప్లై చేయాలి, అదేమని తెలుసా?
Yes. So if there are physicians in this country practicing in the US, then they should become members of the American Medical Association. And that's a requirement. And it's also very useful because when you're a member of the American Medical Association, not only are we seeing patients, we're also improving healthcare for everybody. So when they become members, then they can represent their specialty. If you're a neurosurgeon, if you're a pediatrician, you can ask them if you can represent them at the American Medical Association. If you come from New York, if you come from California, if you come from Michigan like me, you can represent the state. And then, after I started doing that, within a few years, I served on the Council of Science and Public Health. That was 8 years. And then I was elected to the board, and that was another 8 years. And now I'm president. So there's ways to become more knowledgeable, become more helpful, and then get elected to each of these positions. And it's an amazing opportunity.
There are different steps to reach.
Yes.
సార్, అంటే మీరేమనుకుంటున్నారు? వాట్ ఈస్ ద స్ట్రాంగ్ రీజన్ మీకు ఈ ప్రెసిడెంట్ పదవి రావడానికి?
Yes, I think the biggest reason is that we have so much complication in healthcare based on what we have to deal with, right? For example, I've been in practice for 25 years. My expenses have gone up every year, right? When we started in the year 2000, the office staff, the people working in my office, used to make about $10, $11 per hour. Now they make $20 per hour. So the cost of taking care of patients in my office has doubled. But yet the payments from insurance companies like Medicare has been stagnant. And so that's a challenge, and it makes it difficult to take care of our patients. And then things like getting permission, like we talked about before, getting permission to do something for our patients is something it's a pain, it's a hassle, and it affects the patient's healthcare. And then in the US, I think it's happening all over the world, when there's a shortage of doctors, people tend to replace doctors with people that aren't doctors. They don't have our education, they don't have experience, but the government is asking them, insurance companies, hospitals are asking them that they should replace doctors. And that's not good for patient care. So these are the things that I'm working on with the American Medical Association.
ఇంకా వాట్ ఆర్ ద అదర్ ఛాలెంజెస్ యు ఆర్ గోనా ఫేస్ అంటే ఏం చెప్తారు?
Yeah, I mean, there's new technology, right? And the same thing is happening in India. So what a lot of people call artificial intelligence, AI,
Yeah.
that's something that we as doctors call augmented intelligence. These computers, these systems, they should help me take care of my patients, but it's risky and it's not smart to have them replace doctors or replace healthcare workers. So it should help the patient by augmenting my ability instead of replacing my ability, because that's a risk. And then there's other issues associated with that also. If the machine gets it wrong, who's responsible for that? Is it my fault? I didn't create that program. I didn't put it in the hospital system.
We
So
can't
why
blame the
should
machine to that in that case, right?
exactly, yeah. It's not a good idea to have the machine do it independently. It should help me, not replace me.
అంటే రీప్లేస్ చేయలేరు కానీ ఏమంటున్నారంటే ఏఐ వల్ల థ్రెట్టే అన్ని ఫీల్డ్స్లోనూ అంటున్నారు. సో డాక్టర్స్కి అయితే అది వర్తించదు అనుకోవచ్చు అంటారా?
Yeah,
ఏ
so
ఏఐ అనేది థ్రెట్ టు ఎవ్రీ ఫీల్డ్ ఇన్ ఎవ్రీ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ అని అందరూ అంటున్నారు. కానీ ఇట్ వోంట్ సూటబుల్ ఆర్ ఇట్ వోంట్ బి అప్లికేబుల్ టు ద డాక్టర్స్ అని అనుకోవచ్చు అంటారా?
no, I don't think so. I think it's definitely going to be helpful, right? But everything has a good aspect and a dangerous aspect, right? So driving in a car, it's a wonderful thing, right? To now with the highways in Andhra Pradesh, I can go from Vijayawada to Hyderabad in half the time that it used to take me when I was a child. But it's also dangerous, right? I could get into an accident. I could get hit by a truck. So there's benefits and there's risk. And the same thing with AI. There's amazing benefit. It can help me take care of my patient. But if it's not programmed properly, if it's not created properly, if there's flaws, mistakes in that programming, it puts my patients at risk. So there's good and there's bad, just like driving. And so it's not that we should get rid of it. We should use it. But we need to be very careful about how it's developed and how it's used.
డాక్టర్స్ అయినా ఇప్పుడు ఎలా అడాప్ట్ చేసుకోవాలంటారు ఈ ఏఐ టెక్నాలజీని?
Yes, I think it's very useful. It will help us take better care of our patients, but we have to be careful of how we use it. So it is useful.
యా కానీ అంటే ఇన్ ఫ్యూచర్ ఏఐ రీప్లేస్ చేస్తుందంటారా ఈవెన్ డాక్టర్స్ని కూడా? వాట్ డూ యూ థింక్, యువర్ ఒపీనియన్?
Yeah, I think that's a bad idea. I don't think it will happen, and that's exactly one of the main priorities of the American Medical Association is to be very careful about how we take care of our patients. Right? There are some things that we know about our patients just by the look on their face, the way they speak. That's not something that we expect AI to do a good job of assessing the human part of healthcare. And so that's why humans can't be replaced by machines if machines can't understand those things about talking to patients and taking care of them.
Yeah, it can't understand the emotions of the patient too. Yeah, we are talking about the future generations, right? So డాక్టర్స్ ఇప్పుడు డాక్టర్ కెరీర్ని చూస్ చేసుకుంటుంటే వాళ్ళకి ఎలాంటి సజెషన్స్ ఇస్తారు మీరు?
Yeah, so what I tell future doctors is that we are needed by our society. We are needed to help improve the health of our society. Our societies used to be living longer and longer, right? My parents are 80 years old. In the previous generation, that was very unusual to reach 80, sometimes 90, sometimes 100. And so we need the new generation of doctors to be able to take care of people because we are living longer. I will likely live longer. And so that's what we're telling the healthcare system and medical students about being able to manage people with chronic disease, right? Because if I live to be 90, I'm not going to be perfectly healthy. I'll have other issues. And so helping them to learn how to take care of patients with chronic disease is something that they should be prepared for. In addition, they will also inherit whatever problems we have dealing with insurance companies, dealing with government, dealing with pharmacy companies. There will be some things that we have not fixed. Hopefully we will fix many of those things, but there will be some left over. There will be new problems. And so helping a medical student to get involved in the future of healthcare is very important.
Yeah. So do you have any suggestions for the Indian doctors as you are working in America and with advanced technology, advanced machines?
Yes. So you're asking about Indian doctors based in the United States?
No, in India
Okay.
itself, Indian doctors.
Yeah. So I think that getting involved beyond taking care of patients in our offices and hospitals and operating rooms is very important. India will have its own challenges. Some of them will be the same as the US. Some of them will be very different. And to assume that somebody else, a hospital system, people that have business degrees but not medical degrees, people in government, to assume they know the best way to take care of patients in our countries is wrong. And so getting involved in organized medicine, right? So we have the American Medical Association. There's also the Indian Medical Association. Getting involved in those associations, the organized medicine to improve patient care is something I would love to see.
Yeah. You're inspiration to many because you have achieved and you reached the position of president of American Medical Association. So how does your journey has started? Ante em cheptaru?
Yeah, so my journey started when I was a medical student and a resident, but then really accelerated when I started my own medical practice. I share an office with my wife. We're in private practice. I'm an ENT and my wife is an obstetrician and gynecologist. And so when I saw the challenges to taking care of those patients, that's when I got involved, just like we talked about should happen in India, is happening in the United States, to get involved in the system of healthcare. Not one patient at a time, but all patients. And that needs to be done. And it needs to be done with doctors' input, with doctors leading that, because we are the ones that are most interested in taking care of patients. Right? Other people are interested, but they don't have the background, or they have different goals. Right? They have a profit goal. Even though in the U.S. a lot of them are nonprofit companies, they're nonprofit businesses. When you talk to them, it's all about how much they can earn to then expand the hospital, to put new signs on the highway. And that's not what physicians are focused on. We're focused on improving the care of our patients.
సో గ్రేట్ కానీ డాక్టర్స్ అంటే చాలా బిజీగా ఉంటారు అని అందరూ అనుకుంటాము. అలానే అండ్ యువర్ వైఫ్ ఈజ్ ఆల్సో ఏ డాక్టర్. మీరు బేసికలీ మాట్లాడుకునేటప్పుడు కేసెస్ స్టడీసే మాట్లాడుకుంటారా, లేదంటే ఎనీ అదర్ టాపిక్స్ ఆర్ మీ టైం ఉంటుందా?
Yeah, so when I come home from the office and I'm finished taking care of patients, then I have to take care of our house. I have to take care of our car. I have to take care of our children. We have twin boys. They're 25 years old now, but they were a responsibility until they went to college. And so I wear two hats. One is my doctor hat and one is my house maintenance hat. And India is very different, right? So my parents have so much help in their home, taking care of their home, taking care of everything in their home. Here, I have to do everything, right? And so that's why I have a different career when I get home as a husband and a housekeeper.
Oh my God! Luckily, you got time to do all the chores.
Yeah, usually I get 7 hours of sleep every day.
Okay.
And so that leaves 17 hours in the rest of my day to take care of my patients and take care of my house and take care of everything. So as long as I get 7 hours of sleep, I'm a happy man.
So you're managing the professional life and personal life. ఇంట్లో పనులన్నీ చేయడం ఎలా అనిపిస్తోంది మీకు అని, ఆ లైఫ్ ఎలా ఉంది అని?
Oh, I love that life also. Because if we only do one thing in our life and we don't have any other things to do, then it becomes somewhat boring, right? So every day I carry a list of things I need to do in the home. So this is my list for today.
Oh my God.
And so I write down, I have to clean this, I have to fix this, I have to
So you
fix the
list
key.
your works at home. Okay.
Oh yeah. And then when I'm done, I cross it off the list. And so this makes me satisfied, right? When I have things to do and I finish them, then I'm happy. And my house looks better. My wife is happier. My parents are happier. And so I enjoy it.
Wonderful. మీరు ఎప్పుడైనా కుక్ చేశారా అండి?
Yes, but I'm not very good at cooking. We as part of giving back to this country, giving back to the community, we open many restaurants. And so I'm an owner of several restaurants because it helps to revitalize our city. Our city used to be the headquarters of General Motors, the world headquarters. And so it was a very happy, very populated, very well-to-do city. And then in the 1980s, it was almost bankrupt.
Oh.
And so now we're trying to grow the city again. And so instead of cooking at home, we cook in the restaurant.
మీకు ఇష్టమైన లేదా మీ ఫేవరెట్ ఇండియన్ డిష్ అంటే ఏం చెప్తారు? ఆంధ్ర ఫుడ్ చెప్పండి.
Yeah, so when I was growing up, I used to be a non-veg. And then 10 years ago, I became a vegetarian.
Why
And
so? Why did you convert like this?
Well, so when I was a child growing up, my parents became very devoted to Swami Chinmayananda.
Okay.
So as a child growing up, I went to all the Chinmayananda camps. And then as I grew up as an adult, I too realized that if I can be happy and healthy without killing an animal, then I should do. And so I became a vegetarian, just because I'm very happy and I'm healthy without having to eat an animal, and that's why I became vegetarian. So I guess my favorite foods, usually I could eat a dosa, whether it's 10 in the morning or 10 at night, with some pachadi, also upma, idlis, kind of breakfast type food. But I also I like wankai pachadi. I eat that all the time, but pachadi mostly. But anything my mom makes, I will eat it.
Coming back
It's
to you became the president of American Medical Association now. So what do you want to change? What are ఏం మార్చాలనుకుంటున్నారు? What are the things you want to make అంటే ఏం చెప్తారు?
Yeah. So in the US, it used to be physicians that were the main drivers of improving healthcare, right? When my mom and dad were in practice, they owned their own practice. They loved taking care of the patients. There was not that many groups that were non-doctors that were controlling medicine. Now that's changed 180 degrees. Now we have so much bureaucracy, right? We have people that have, the MBAs, masters in business administration, and they're the ones that take care of healthcare. But that's wrong, because their motivation is not, the first thing that they have in their mind is not to improve patient care, right? It's mostly financial. When I go to meetings of hospitals and insurance companies, the majority of the time is spent not on how do we improve patient care, but how do we make sure we are profitable? And I think that's wrong. And so that's why I think it's very important for doctors to resume that role that we used to do more. And now, there's a chess game, and we are the small pawns in the chess game. Somebody else is the king and the queen of healthcare. And that's wrong, right? We are the ones that are most interested in a healthier country. And that's why we should be the ones that are improving the health of our country.
ఇన్సూరెన్స్ కంపెనీలు అంతగా ఇవ్వకపోతే క్లెయిమ్ రేట్స్ మనం ఏం చేయగలుగుతాం? గవర్నమెంట్ ఏమైనా ఇనిషియేషన్ తీసుకోవాలనుకుంటున్నారా, లేకపోతే ఎలాంటి చేంజ్ చేస్తే బాగుంటుంది అనుకుంటున్నారు?
Yeah, I think that we need regulations to control what insurance companies do. For example, I mentioned prior authorization. If I see somebody that has cancer and the insurance company delays the care of that patient, then the cancer is going to grow. The cancer is going to spread.
Will it become
That
severe?
happens to my patient. Yeah, and so we need to be able to make sure that insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies and hospital systems are focused on the best care for the patient instead of the finances of that. And that's the problem, and that's why we are working to pass laws, if they don't do it on their own, to make sure that patients come first.
In this case, we can say that government has to talk with the insurance companies. Don't you think so, sir?
Yeah, I mean, we can have conversations with somebody, but they may not listen. And if they don't listen, then we need a law. So I don't have any problem asking them to do something. 99% of the time, they will say no. And that's why 99% of the time, we need the government to not just repeat the conversation, but to pass a law that says this is what needs to happen. Like the law that we have in the state of Michigan and many states in the country that the American Medical Association has helped is the prior authorization law. That if you're going to require prior authorization, it needs to be done within 24 or 48 hours. If somebody says no to me taking care of a cancer patient, they need to be an ENT also. But in the US, many times, you have somebody that's not even a doctor that's telling a doctor what they can and can't do, and that's wrong. There's more to talk about, but we can talk another time. When I came to India 18 months ago, they offered me a role in a movie. So I came back to India 3
Which
months.
movie? Which movie, sir? ఏ
movie.
మూవీకి మిమ్మల్ని ఆఫర్ చేశారు? ఎందుకు మీరు రిజెక్ట్ చేశారు చెప్పండి?
No, I didn't reject. I went back 3 months later, and we were filming in Mysore. So
Okay.
this is a kind of movie that will also come in Telugu. It has not been finished yet, but the movie is called Halagali. And so I enjoyed doing something other than taking care of patients, other than medicine, for 9 days when I was in Mysore. The movie is old. I mean, it takes place in the 1800s. It's a true story about the British trying to take the guns away from Indian villages. So I played a British tax collector.
ఎప్పుడు రిలీజ్ అవుతుందండి? వెన్ ఈస్ ద రిలీజ్?
Hopefully within the next 6 months to 9 months. They had a small pause because they had to change one of the actors, and then they resumed filming recently. So hopefully by the end of the year they'll have it done.
మేము ఫిల్మ్లో కూడా మిమ్మల్ని చూడబోతున్నాం అనమాట. అయితే మీకు యాక్టింగ్ కూడా ఇష్టమే?
Well, I like it, but I'm not good at it. So that's why I only did it for 9 days, and then I came back to the US to be an ENT because I enjoyed it, but I'm not very good at it.
We will watch that movie for you.
Yeah, I always like to do it because when growing up, one of our family friends is Nagarjuna, and then Sumanth came to the University of Michigan to do classes. And he and I were friends here in Michigan. So when I go back, when I went back with the American Medical Association people 18 months ago, we went to watch Sumanth filming a movie in Hyderabad, and so it was a wonderful thing that they enjoyed with me.
మీకు ఇష్టమైన సినిమా ఏంటి తెలుగు మూవీ?
Well, I guess my parents watched Telugu movies my entire childhood, and probably at least once a month I play the music from a movie called Shankarabharana. It's from the 1980s, and it's amazing music, and we sing the songs together. Not a modern movie, but a classic movie.
ఓకే, సో గుడ్ టాకింగ్ టు యూ సార్. మీరు ఈసారి ఇండియా వచ్చినప్పుడు ఇక్కడికి మా స్టూడియోకి కూడా రావాలని కోరుకుంటున్నాం.
Okay, where's your studio?
TV9 in Hyderabad.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, yeah. Well, next time I come, I will say hello.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you.